Adult Solutions. Add-on desires.
Welcome to Adult Solutions. This is Srikanth for English. We are here with a tale of two birds from class 6th. Before we get into the tale, you might have heard different stories about birds. A bird which fetches a news, a bird which tries to drink the water from a pot. There are numerous stories about birds. Here we are going to learn a story about two birds. In the story, we are going to learn something, a moral, maybe a thing that people supposed to learn. Your company tells your attitude, your friends, your environment, your surroundings will tell the people your attitude to the world. How are you going to behave? For example, you are in the company of a bad people, your attitude would be very bad. You might not think positive. When you are in the company of positive thinkers, like optimists, when you are with optimists, what happens? Your attitude changes. So here we are with a story which deals with negativity and positivity. What tells that we are negative? What tells that we are positive? What tells that we are negative in the company of bad people or good people, or what tells we are positive in the company of bad people or good people? Let us see in the story and let's try to learn what we supposed to learn as human beings from a tale. There once lived a bird and her two newborn babies in a forest. Obviously, you might be knowing, in the forest there would be number of birds, and these days because of the deforestation, the birds would enter into the buildings. Sometimes in your apartment or in your surroundings, maybe at your house, you might have seen the beautiful nest of a bird. Because of the deforestation, because of the trees which get chopped down by the people, they get into the apartments, they get into the houses, they get into a building where they can build a nest. Especially in towns and cities, you find the birds getting into apartments, getting into the houses, getting into the buildings. Let us see here, there once lived a bird and her two newborn babies in a forest, which means the family is in the forest. They had a nest in a tall shady tree, and there the mother bird took care of the little ones day and night. There is a tall tree, and on the branches there is one nest. In it there are two birds and a mother. What is the work of the mother? The mother would feed the babies, the mother would take care of the babies, the mother would nurture the babies, the mother would teach the birds to fly. Right? So these two little babies would be waiting for mother to come with the food. They would wait for the mother to come back at the end of the day or at the time of breakfast or dinner or lunch. So here mother bird is taking care of the two little babies which were there on a tall tree in the nest. One day there was a big storm. One day people would have clashes and calamities, they would have problems, there would be obstacles in the lives of the people. The same has happened in the life of the two little babies. Okay, there was a heavy storm. To the heavy storm, what happens? The branches would move forward, then they would come back. And again they move forward and they come back. Right? So there would be some kind of to and fro would be there, right? Okay, so there was a heavy storm, there was thunder, lightning and rain, and the wind blew down many trees. There was a lightning, there was thunder, it was heavy rain. What happens when it rains? We human beings, immediately we open an umbrella, and we try to take shelter under the umbrella. Or we get into the room, we try to take shelter in the room. Or we get into the nearby shop in order not to get wet. But when it comes to the baby birds, what happened here? There was thunder and there was lightning. Do you think these babies would be having an umbrella to put it on and get settled under the umbrella? There is no chance. Okay? So these little babies, they could not fly. They could not fly. Maybe you should understand, when there is a thunder and there is a lightning, when there is a heavy storm, the birds would start flying to the nearest places where they are safe and sound. Okay, they would fly off. Okay, whenever the branch moves, they would get up, they would come out, they would try to fly. Okay, so what happened here? They could not fly, which means they are very tiny. The birds were very tiny. They could not fly. They could stay there in the thunder, lightning, and heavy storm. The tall tree in which the birds lived also came down. What happened to the wind? They came down and went back, came down and went back, right? So there was a true and forth. There was a true and forth. Okay, so the wind pushed the branches down to the earth. Down to the earth. They went down to the earth and they came back. And here you can understand, sometimes the trees would get uprooted to the wind. You might have seen that during the storm, during a cyclone, during any kind of storm. Okay, you might have seen that trees that would get uprooted because of the heavy wind, right? So here the same thing happened. And what happened here? The tree which was very tall, the tree which was very tall, on which they had their nest, even the tree came down. That would happen with the heavy and tall trees. There is a chance for the tall trees to come down to the earth and go back. Sometimes they would get uprooted, right? A big heavy branch hit the nest and killed the bird. What happened? A big heavy branch hit to the wind. It hit the nest. It hit the nest, and the result was mother bird was killed in the storm. It was killed in the storm. What happened to the two little babies? To the tiny baby birds? Let us see. Fortunately for the baby birds, the strong wind blew them away to the other side of the forest. Mother was killed. The two tiny birds, they were washed away by the wind. They fell, or they went to the other side of the forest. Okay, one of them came down near a cave where a gang of robbers lived. One of them fell in the presence of robbers. A cave in which robbers were there, the thieves were there. Okay, so it fell in the presence of these people. The other landed outside Rishi's ashram a little distance away. Where was the other? At the Rishi's. Rishi, you might be knowing the Rishi, the monk. Okay, the monk, in the presence of, in the ashram of the monk. When it comes to the other bird, the very first one, okay, it fell in the presence, at the cave, in the presence of the robbers. Now here you can understand, one in ashram and the other at the robbers. Robbers' attitude and the attitude of the people in the ashram. So the bird started to learn. Here we can understand in the first slide, they were very tiny, the little birds, they were very little, which means that is a learning stage. What is that? That is a learning stage. At that period, people start speaking, people start flying, the birds start flying, the birds start imitating, the birds start observing the things and learn, try to acquire the things based on the surroundings. Right? So here one is in the presence of the robbers and the other is in the presence of a Rishi. So Rishi is very calm, honest, humble, kind-natured person. When it comes to the robbers, they are cruel. So the bird at the cruel cruelty would learn the cruelty. When it comes to the kindness, the other bird would learn the kindness. Let us see. Days passed and the baby birds became big birds. And the baby birds, they were not baby birds. They were no more baby birds. They were big birds because days passed. They learned and learned and learned. They started to fly. They started to sing. They started to go far off. Probably that is the time for these birds to hatch. One day the king of the country came to the forest to hunt. You might be knowing kings were fond of hunting. So there was one king who wanted to go for hunting. Okay, he came for hunting. He saw a deer and rode after it. He saw a deer and rode after it because he wanted to hunt it. Okay, what does he do after hunting? Maybe he would eat it. Okay, so he found a deer and he started to chase it. It ran deep into the forest, followed by the king. It ran deep into the forest. Where was the concentration of the king? It was exactly on the deer. Okay, on the deer, right? So when he had that concentration on the deer, he followed the deer. He didn't understand that he was going deep inside the forest. He didn't understand. But later he discovered that he was inside, deep inside the forest. Okay. Soon the king lost his way and didn't know where he was. When he looked around, it was deep inside. Maybe he could not see the path. It was far away. He had never come that way. He was deep inside, deep inside. How do you understand that he was deep inside? He lost his way. He lost his way. When you know the way, you never lose your way. When you don't know the way, you will lose your way. Which means he is the king of a forest. He might be knowing everything. And he was fond of hunting. It was not the first time that he came for hunting. But this is the first time he came deep inside the forest. Okay. He rode on for a long time till he came to the other side of the forest. In search of the road or the path to the out of the forest, he was moving and moving and moving and moving. He came to the other side of the forest. He came to the other side of the forest. He had to go to the other side. Instead of going to the other side, he came this way. Okay, so somehow he came on the other side of the forest. Very tired by now, he got off his horse and sat down under a tree that stood near a cave. He was very tired. Why do you think he was very tired? He was chasing a deer. One reason. And the other reason is he lost his way. He was a bit tensed, a bit nervous. Okay. When he was nervous, he was in search of finding the path towards his kingdom or towards his palace. Let us say, towards his palace. He was trying to find the way. He was roaming and roaming and roaming and roaming until he came to the other side of the forest and he was tired. He was tired. What did he do? He got off the horse and sat down under a tree. Under a tree, it would be shady. It would not be sunny. It would be a bit cool, right? So he was under the shade of a tree. Suddenly, where was he sitting? He was sitting near a cave. Suddenly, he heard a voice cry out, "Quick, hurry up. There is someone under the tree. Come and take his jewels and his horse. Hurry, or else he will slip away." Suddenly, he heard somebody talking. He looked around. There was somebody talking. What did he say? "Come down immediately. There is somebody under the tree. We have to rob him. We'll take all the jewelry that he had around his neck or on his body and the horse too." Okay, so let's rob him. We'll go back to the first slide or the second slide where you have seen the two birds, because of the storm, they were hit by the storm and one fell at the cave and the other fell at the ashram. Now the king is at the cave. The king is at the cave. You can understand that. So here when he was sitting in front of the cave, there was a voice which said, "Hurry up, there is somebody under the shade of a tree. Let's rob out his jewelry. Let's rob the horse too from him, or else he will slip away. Okay. And immediately what happened? The king was amazed. The king was amazed. He looked up and saw a big brown bird on the tree under which he was sitting. Okay, so there was a bird under which he was sitting. There is a bird, and he looked. And who said that dialogue? The bird said that dialogue. Which means it is trying to give an idea to the robbers to come down. It's what? A kind of indication or a sign to the people to come down immediately and rob that particular person. Okay, so when there are robbers, people would not go that way, and the bird would find the people and would guide them towards the person or a passenger, right? So here the king looked and he was amazed because the bird said that dialogue, and that dialogue was like robbing. Okay, there was a big brown tree under the shade of a tree. Okay, he also heard faint voices issuing from the cave. There were faint voices, which means the voices of the robbers. The robbers were still present there at the cave. He quickly got on to his horse and rode away as fast as he could. When there are robbers, when you know that there are robbers or there are thieves or there are criminals or cruel people, do you still be there? No, right? We prefer like running away from there. We prefer like getting off from there, right? So here, that particular person, who? The king, he felt a bit nervous and he started to run away. Welcome, sir, he said to the king. Please come inside and make yourself at home. You look tired. Rest for a while, then you can share my food. Okay, so there is another dialogue. My lord, you look tired. You must have traveled long. Come, wash your face. Sit here. Let us share the food. This is another dialogue. What was the other dialogue? Quick, hurry up. There is somebody under the shade of a tree. Let's rob out him. Let's take the jewelry from him. Let's take the horse from him. Right? So that was a dialogue in front of the cave. Now here there is completely a different dialogue. Please come inside, sir. You look tired, sir. Rest for a while, sir. Let us share the food, sir. A beautiful and sweet dialogue, right? The king told the rishi the story of two birds and how each had behaved so differently, though they looked so alike. Okay, so who said this dialogue? This dialogue is said by the other bird. It is said by the other bird, the brother of the bird, which said, quick, hurry up, let's rob this person. Okay, so the rishi who was present at that particular time explained the story of these two birds and why they behaved differently. Okay, so the forest is full of surprises, he said. The forest is full of surprises. There are surprises. You get sweet fruits, you get many things, you get lot of things in the forest. The holy man smiled and said, who is the holy man? Rishi. After all, one is known by the company one keeps. Tell me your friends, I'll tell you who you are or what you are. You might have heard the dialogue, right? Or a quote. So here, you are known by your company. You are known by your friendship. You are known by your surroundings. You are known by your location. So after all, one is known by the company one keeps, right? That bird has always heard the talk of robbers. That bird has heard the talk of robbers. Who? The bird which was in front of the cave. It heard the robbers talking and talking and talking. That was a common dialogue that was uttered by robbers. And they, after listening to them, the bird imitated them. He imitates them and talks about robbing people. Who? The bird imitates and talks about robbing people. The one has repeated what he has always heard. He welcomes people to the ashram. Now come inside and rest. I'll tell you more about this place and these birds. Okay, so there the bird was imitating the robbers, here the bird is imitating the people in the ashram. Did you understand now? The company of the people, maybe your company tells you what you are and who you are. The robbers company made the bird to utter the same dialogue that was often uttered by the robbers and here often uttered by the people in the ashram. They welcome good and there they rob the people. Rishi told him, I'll tell you many things about these birds and rest for a while. So let's get in. So that is a story about a tale of two birds, right? So that is a story. Now let us see the question and answers. Now you might have understood why the story has been prescribed to you in your class. Your company tells you who you are. Sometimes when you make friendship with the bad people, you turn out to be bad. When you make friendship with good people, you turn out to be a good person. Decide yourself whether you are going to be in the company of bad people or good people. Let us see the question and answers now. How did the two baby birds get separated? How did they get separated? Because of a storm that hit them. A branch or the storm killed their mother, right? So the two birds were living there along with their mother on a tall tree. A heavy storm one day drew them away to the other side of the forest and both got separated, right? They were living happily with their mother. Because of the storm, mother was killed and the storm drove them away on the other side of the forest. Their mother was killed in the storm when the tree came down to the wind. When the tree came down to the wind, the mother was killed. Second question, where did each of them find a home? Where did they find the home? One was with the robbers at the cave and the other was at Rishi in the ashram. One was with robbers in a cave and the lived lived at a little distance in an ashram of a rishi. Now third question, what did the first bird say to the stranger? What did it say to the stranger? Quick, hurry up, let us rob the jewelry or the jewels out of this person. The first bird, looking at the stranger, called the robbers to speed up, to rob the strangers of his ornaments and horse. The jewelry and the horse. Stranger became the bird couldn't understand. Stranger because the bird couldn't identify his highness. Okay. Why? Stranger? Why did it say? The word stranger is used because the bird could not identify that it was the king. If the bird could identify that it was a king, maybe the bird would not have said that dialogue. The word stranger is used because the bird could not identify of his highness. What did the second bird say to him? What did it say? The second bird was polite and welcomed the stranger into the ashramam. It was polite. Welcome, sir. You look tired. Rest for a while. We can share the food. So that was the dialogue said by the other bird. Okay. So it was polite and welcomed the stranger. Stranger because the bird could not identify his highness. He advised the stranger to make himself comfortable. Advised him to make himself comfortable. Rest for a while. Take good rest. Eat and sleep under the tree. Okay, so that's how welcomed. How did Rishi explain different ways in which the birds behave? The first bird stayed with the robbers and acquired their attitude, and second was in ashramam and learned how the guest is treated in ashramam. So, after all, a man is identified by his company. Here, the bird at the cave imitated robbers, and here the second bird imitated people and learned how these people behaved in the ashrama. Which one of the following sums up the story the best? One is known by the company, one keeps. So that is the answer. So this is a tale of two birds. Thank you.
Add-on solutions. Add-on desired.